Hi, this is an intro video for week 3 and the start of week 4 for the class. We're going to start a couple busy weeks. This week we have a footprint exercise due. It's called the Simon Pierce case. It'll be due next Monday and you can work with another student if you want. It goes through the basics of identifying scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions, how to convert them into carbon dioxide equivalents, and so on. If you haven't, be sure to enter your national emissions data in the spreadsheet that I have. That should be done this week, I think. And I think the reading is part 2 of Nordhaus and starting part 3. So one assignment, finished from last week, the emissions data and so on. Now, the key takeaways that I'd like you to get from the lectures and whatnot this week are what the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change includes in the greenhouse gases that they look at and what the global warming potentials of some of those are. The key one really is methane and the refrigerants. Methane has a global warming potential of 22 or 23. Refrigerants range from, I think, 1,000 to about 11,000. HFC 23 is about 11,000, I think. Be able to identify scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions. Scope 1, that's fuel that a company buys and combusts in their own facilities or assets. So gasoline in cars or trucks, natural gas in kilns or furnaces, diesel in trucks, aviation fuel in company-owned planes, and so on. Scope 2 is almost all electricity, so generated elsewhere but brought in and used by the company. And 3 is everything else, including emissions from fuel by shipping companies, ocean transport. That'll be one of the examples in the Simon Pierce case, FedEx, DHL, etc. I'll give you 4 numbers that I want you to keep in mind. These are going to come up again and again, and these are all parts per million concentration of atmospheric carbon dioxide, and the numbers are pretty easy to remember: 350, 400, 450, and 550. I'll let you read about what those numbers are. Take away some of the information about basic footprinting, kind of doing the conversions, trying to get everything into metric tons of carbon dioxide equivalents. What we're really doing here is a greenhouse gas inventory for the company, dividing it out into sources that are categorized by scope. A large part of the lecture about numbers and measures has to do with the controversy of how greenhouse gas metrics are measured for international treaties. And I go through a couple complications: absolute versus per capita, export versus import, land use change with or without that. And then finally, I have a couple diagrams. They're kind of complicated. They have these sort of strands going all over the place that show where the sources of emissions are: electricity, transportation, buildings, and so on. And so get a little bit of a feel for that, just so you have a sense of where the emissions come from. But maybe more important is knowing where you might be able to find that information if you need it sometime in the future. Just like the national data that you collected, it's nice to know where the sources are. Next week, things do get a little busier. We have an emissions trading exercise that's going to be done in groups, and that's always tricky to coordinate. What I've done is created a more streamlined approach than actually trading. In the past, this trading exercise has taken a long time as people bicker and then some people renege, and man, it can be a nightmare if you don't have it laid out easily. I think the best way, if you're going to do trading, is to create a little market in your discussion area with people who are offering to sell and the price they want, and start that way. The streamlined approach is just to create a supply curve, and I explain how to do that in the instructions for the emissions trading exercise. This gives you the ideal savings from trading. It would be as if every good trade is completed up till demand is satisfied. So that's a straightforward way to do it. You can do it analytically in about 35 or 40 minutes, probably, using the supply curve method that I show you on the website. And I don't care which way you do. The exercise is designed to show you that trading can save money, with some caveats. I was going to have a carbon tax exercise, but when I started to create it, it got so complicated. I think I'll just give you an example and call it good. So instead of in the June 7th or July 7th and 14 units, I was going to have you do one or the other of a mitigation idea or an adaptation idea. I'll have you do both, and that'll make up the points, and that'll be a lot better. This carbon tax thing just got out of hand. So do think ahead to July 7th week and finding a mitigation idea, and this could be a technology or a behavioral thing or something. And that'll get us going after the holiday. Week 2, we had just a wonderful discussion of impacts. And these discussions are voluntary, but gosh, do look in. They were really fascinating. And do let me also know how things are going, how well you like Bill Nordhaus's book, the lectures, workload, etc. So I don't know how much I can change things this term. I can vary them a little bit, but I'd like to know for future reference. I guess that's it. I'll look forward to seeing your carbon footprints. I see a couple are already in, and then the trading exercise, and then we get to the 4th of July and have a long weekend. Thanks. Bye-bye.